simple act of moving.
Absolutely.
Oh, geez, we're talking about exercise, so we may as well. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So,
let's talk about exercise.
Okay. So first of all, thanks. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
And Steve. So just what we were talking about was, I find sometimes what happens is that we get so caught up in the complexities of everything that the very basics of what we miss out on is how simple things actually can be.
Yep.
And you and I, we've been in the exercise field for, like 35 years apiece. And just as I was explaining, about 8 months ago, a colleague of mine asked me to take over their whole book of personal training clients. And I had no idea at the tender age of 56 that I would take over a book of personal training clients and actually be enjoying it as much as I actually am. And it's a beautiful venue. It's at the Houghton Hotel here in Johannesburg, and the Fit Bar, and just in terms of working with people, and like we said, we were just joking about it's only taken 30 years to become an overnight success, but it's really that I think it's a combination of wisdom where I'm not trying to like drill people that they gung ho. Like when I was much younger, I'm sure looking back now, I'm sure there are lots of people that I blew out the water because I was just too full on.
Yeah.
And now it's very much about bringing the whole mind and body thing together. And I know that you're very passionate about this as well.
Yeah.
And I thought, instead of making it all complex and talking about is, how does a person start? And and then I can let you sort of go as well, Steve, is that, I was chatting to a client the other day, and it's like, so if you're depressed, train. If you're happy, train. If you're having financial issues, train. If you're doing exceptionally well financially, train. If you're having relational issues, train. If you're overweight, wanting to lose weight, train. If you're thin, train. If you're fit, train. So there's just the one constant is our bodies.
Yep.
And it's the state that our bodies are in that directly impacts our quality of life. So for me, that's I like to think hashtag movement is life.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you grabbed hold of it. I mean, when we first started talking about a year ago now, you grabbed hold of it super fast. And if you think about it, we've both come full circle. So I started out in cardiac rehab back in 1994.
Wow. Okay.
And so after I got back from the US, I mean, my postgraduate work was in elite athlete preparation. But I came back and I got stuck into cardiac rehab. And then obviously we met as a personal trainer, That's all I was doing.
All those years ago.
It was taken 35 years, as a success. Because today, that's what I do again. But the difference, and you've pointed out something there that I think is so important. I was having a conversation today in the lunchroom with one of my favorite doctors, and it's someone we should talk to and get on this podcast. Her name is Dr. Jean Stark. And I'm not going to tell you Jean's age because you'll never believe me, because she's just about to do 2 Oceans in April. Okay. And all the data from all over up the place comes to our platform, and she kicks our butts, kicks them hard every single week on her exercise intensity. And in lunchrooms, doctors' lunchrooms around the country, the same conversation happens. The frustration about people not understanding, why is it Benny asking me that? My patient's 140 kilos. Don't they understand? And this is where I think we've missed the boat fundamentally. So let me ask you a question. If you sit on the couch for a long time and don't eat, what will happen? Not on the couch. Just you sit in your house for 12 hours. You don't eat any food. What will happen? You'll get hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
If you sit in your house all day, don't have any water, you're going to get thirsty. If it's July and you take your couch, you put it outside, and you sit on it at night, you're going to get cold. And those are things that will make you do something. You're going to eat, you're going to drink, you're going to go and get warm.
Yeah.
But there isn't one that says, hey, I've been sitting on the couch now for 4 hours. You better get up and exercise. Why the hell not? So
Yeah,
if we as exercise people are saying it's the most important thing, there's no stimulus response there that says get up and do something. But, you know.
So if I can just jump in there, Stevie. So what you said, sort of why. So working as a mindset coach, talking to people like,
yeah,
we know what we should be doing with exercise. Everybody knows. Everybody, like you often mentioned, we all know what we should be doing. We know that we should be eating clean. We know that we should be exercising. But one thing that I've really come to understand is that, well, there's a couple of things, but one thing that I've really come to understand is that, people are suffering from a tremendous amount of overwhelm at the moment. And, you talk about the comfort paradigm. People are actually, there's a comfort crisis. We are so comfortable that there's no need to actually get going. But people, with what's happening with the world, with the news, with politics, with work, with all these other pressures, there's just so much overwhelm that people are suffering from, is that to actually not even consider, which is usually something outside, it's like sort of beyond the pale, being fit, unless it's like the top 3% of the world's population that exercise every day and it's ingrained in them and it's what they do. And I don't know if I'm right with that stat, but it's about 3 to 5% of the world's population that run every day, that train every day, that don't even hesitate to go into a gym. But everybody else is kind of, there's no we stuck in our at home, we stuck in at work, we very sedentary, we're not actually moving a lot. But what I've really come to understand is that people exercise, most people's frame is that they exercise to stave off disease or death or something like that.
Yeah.
But to actually get people to make that shift is that the reason why we exercise is to actually future-proof your life, so that because you're moving into your best expression of life. Then we sit down and start working out values, vision, where are you going, as to where are you now, what are the steps and stages, so that actually then the motivation as to why they should train is not just because you're trying to lose weight or because you know that you need to be fit, but you're attaching it to the fact that you don't want to be some doddering old person reliant on your kids, costing them a fortune.
Yeah.
You don't want to be reliant on the sort of current health service. You want to actually take responsibility for your life. You want to be able to stand up and actually, Stephen, I say this politely, but even move towards, sort of a physical death that is not a death of being a victim, but it's actually done. It's done with grace. It's done with, you've done what you can. You've done the best that you can in terms of allowing your body the best expression, etc., and so it goes. But that's why it's not. It's like
I think I'm going to, for the first time since we've been talking, I would like you to reframe your language. How's this? So it's not train. It's not even exercise. It's just move.
Yeah.
And let's just look at some of the numbers. So, and this is what's frustrating people. And the more qualified you get, the more medical you get, the more scientific you get, the more you get into the weeds, the more it frustrates you. Because the simple issue is that you mentioned the number. Well, 31%. It's about 31% of the global world's adult population get enough exercise, just the bare amount of exercise to maintain a decent level of health. So 70% don't do that. Now the question is, are we saying that 70% of the world's population are stupid? I mean, it doesn't add up for me.
Sorry, Stevie. One thing that really is always interesting for me is that we look at an isolated moment in time.
Yeah.
But it's the last 100 years that have actually led to this, because
even less than that. It's the last 60 years.
60 years ago, 100 years ago, a couple of 100 years ago, everybody was moving literally all the time out of pure necessity to stay alive.
Correct.
And that's what we've lost. We've absolutely lost. It's not that people are stupid, it's that they've become numbed and dulled into sort of the habits of being sedentary.
I like to, I'm quite a visual. I like to think about things in conversations. And I've got a vision of a 13-year-old humanity. I know you're a father, you've had a 13-year-old. I'm a father, I've had a 13-year-old daughter. Like when they're at that age where they kind of now, they know everything. Okay. So I've got a picture of a 13-year-old humanity having a conversation with our creator and saying, dude, there's some things that have got to change here. Okay. Why are we moving around all the time? We don't have to do that. Why don't we just stay in one place? Okay. This foraging and gathering thing is nonsense. Okay, it's hard work. We don't want to do that. That's the first thing. Then it's why do we hunt things that have got teeth and claws? They've got wings. They're faster than us. It's hard work to do that. Why don't we find some stupid animals, okay, that don't run away? We put them in like a pen, okay, and we put them close to the place that we're staying, and we don't move. We don't want to do this, okay? And our creator says, that's cool. You can do that. Give me 5 million years. And a 13-year-old going, how much? No, dude, you've got 100. You've got to make this happen. Because our creator's given us the ability to evolve that way, but not in 60 years. So that if we just make this into simple facts, every single animal on the planet's objective is to win the game. The game is to be convenient. The game is to be comfortable, to be warm, to make sure that you've got enough food, enough water, etc. Guess what? We've won the game.
Yeah, we totally have.
But in winning the game, we've broken all the rules. So, and that's why a lot of people are saying that's when the species goes towards its inevitable extinction, because it has already won its game. So the fact of the matter is not that people don't want to exercise or not thinking or whatever. The fact of the matter is we are at war with our own DNA. Our DNA's job is to get us to the point that we're on the couch with enough food and warm and safe. That's the job of our DNA. That's the code. Guess what? We've broken the code. We've got it. We had this discussion, I said the last time in the PPS talk, I said, how long would it take each of you on this talk right now to get food or water or warmth? So get up now and get some food. Doesn't have to be the food you desperately want, but get some food, get some water, and turn on a fire if it's cold. And is the answer in seconds, minutes, hours, or days? The fact of the matter is that our DNA expects it to be somewhere between hours and days. Okay, so there's something called availability and effort. There's the availability and effort ratio. There must be an effort in order to get the availability. So we've now got a situation where it's 10-0. Okay, it's 10 availability, 0 effort. So we've even created words for this in the human language. We call it gluttony and sloth, and we've made them sins. We've made them a sin. So fundamentally, we've said it's your fault. So us as healthcare providers, we can now blame our patients because we can say it's gluttony and sloth. You are lazy and fat.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, it's not gluttony and sloth.
Yeah.
It is simply the fact that we have won the game.
Yeah. Our evolution,
100%. So it's about thinking now.
Has overtaken our DNA's capacity to evolve.
But we have the ability to apply some rationality here. We can rationalize our way here. So the simple matter is that we know how much exercise it takes. We know that exercise or movement gets us to a point of fitness where our DNA says you are now a valuable member of this group. Okay, and we know that numbers are around about 10 METs or VO2 max of about 38. Okay, let's not get tied up in it.
Yeah.
So if you've got a VO2 max of 38 or 10 mets and above, your DNA says, tick, you're still valuable here. We'll keep you around. So we'll make sure that the genes that are there to keep you alive and healthy and well are expressing. If, on the other hand, you've got a VO2 max or a METs number of less than 5, your DNA says, dude, you're going out, you're leaving. Yeah, you're on your way out. So we're going to hide all the genes that express for vitality and health and so on, because we don't want you left under a tree by your group for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And sit there. You're going to have to die quickly. So it's not difficult to understand when you apply that filter.
No. Sorry, Stevie. So what you're saying is that, in the olden days, that your DNA would literally shut down over a couple of days. Now your DNA is shutting down, but modern medicine is actually keeping you alive. So that sort of dying is over like 2 decades. And so my biggest thing with the exercise is that it's really about getting to a point we need the quality. And these, we're talking about the problem. So Stevie, what would in terms of, I know exercise, but what would, somebody who absolutely has to start from scratch, what would be the best advice? Understanding that, this is a problem. Let's be solution finders. How do we actually go about solving this? What would your advice be?
And here's again, it's actually super simple. Go back to when, and there's a school of thought which I'm part of that says human beings were the healthiest as hunters and gatherers. Our health was the best around at that time. So let's look at 5 things that they did. They ate real food. Okay, don't complicate yourself. They ate real food. So food that didn't come in a box or a bottle. So eat real food. Okay, eat lots of different variety. Number 2, move. Okay, move enough so that your level of fitness over a period of time can get to where it needs to be. So so training is the wrong word. So people that are starting from scratch, you know what? Park 100 meters further away from the office than you normally do. You know what? Today I was feeling a little bit flat. In fact, it was yesterday. I was feeling a little bit flat, and I know that when I move, I feel better. So I got out of my chair and I did 10 sets of stairs in the shopping center that I work. The people looking at me going, "What are you doing, dude?"
Yeah.
I just, you know what? It took me 4 minutes, and I went back to my desk. And you know what? I've now moved about 600 meters more than I would have done by sitting in my desk. So we've got to move enough. We've got to eat real food. Number 3, we've got to go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. So in other words, our sleep is absolutely vital. What you are doing, the way in which you are helping people frame the stress that is absolutely destroying us, is destroying our bodies, is absolutely vital. So if you want to ask me what to do, that's it. Eat real food. Move as much as you possibly can. It doesn't have to be exercise or train. Move.
I think one of the problems that's happening is that there's such a fast pace. I mean, if you go to Instagram, and bless these people because they're really doing a good job. You've got these great bodies, putting out all these really sort of fancy exercises, and you've got to do this. How many, people that are starting from scratch, people that are not moving. It's literally about, in my experience, Stevie, I mean, correct me on this.
Yeah.
For every decade of non-exercise, it's going to take a year to get a foundation in. So when you start getting the time frames, okay, listen, you've got a year to set a foundation. So let's just say a person's 50 and they haven't been exercising since they were 20. So they've got 3 years to get a foundation in. And people say, well, I haven't got that long. So, but listen, by the time you're 53, you future-proofed your body for the next 30 years of your life, 50, 60, 70, until you get to 80. At least then what you're doing is that, you're not just looking at a particular thing. Well, I haven't done it today. It's about that long-term,
absolutely
big vision attitude 100%. That people need to embrace. And then, how hard is
that's the one. That's the one.
It's just in the beginning, like you said, 100 meters further, 2 or 3 times a week is actually enough.
Absolutely.
People often stop because they don't think they do enough. Whereas if they just carried on with that tiny little incremental increase, like a couple of percentages, per week, per month, per year. Within 2 to 3 years, they've got a massive sort of base to work from, and then so they go.
You spot on. You know what? Our bodies don't care. Our DNA doesn't care about the latest exercise craze on YouTube. It doesn't care whether it's the latest kind of exercise machine. It doesn't care. When we were hunters and gatherers, there weren't the ab blaster. Okay, so there's only two things that our DNA cares about: how much and how hard. That is all that it cares about. So there needs to be how much. How much we know. We can specify how much. Okay, so we know that number is between 150 and 350 minutes. We know that.
Yeah,
So that's how much. Then how hard? You know what? You should be able to talk, but not sing your favorite Beyonce song. Those are the only two things that you need to do. Literally, that is all. If you like to dance naked in your living room and you want to do that for an hour, as long as you can't sing that song that you're dancing to, then you're working hard enough.
Yeah.
So, you know what? We've got 10,000 Rand Garmin watches, and we've got all these. Sorry about the brand. I think it's amazing. But the bottom line is, we've over gadgetized. We've just got ourselves into a big mess. The bottom line is we know exactly how much exercise is needed, what's the bottom end and what's the top end. 150 minutes is minimum, 350 minutes is maximum. Anything more than that, you're a recreational athlete or more. And then you've got a different set of goals. That's very different. From a food point of view, just make sure it's real. You know, that's all.
I think, Stevie, it's literally having to coax belief out of people again. You know, that's to actually begin to, and a lot, because people are so overwhelmed, and I do quite a bit of coaching in corporate and whatnot, because people are so overwhelmed, their bodies are like non-existent and they're completely intellectualized and sort of stuck into their framework. And I always say to people, listen, the reason why you exercise, and it should be within their work curriculum, that you've got exercise scheduled, you've got your nutrition scheduled, you've got your sleep scheduled. Run your body, because your body's actually your best business tool.
Yeah.
Without an if. So how to systemize it, and there's a whole how to systemize your biology. Tick those things off. And if people say, I don't have time to exercise, well, buddy, make time for diabetes in a couple of years, okay, or obesity, or some kind of inflammatory response. It's about really getting people to. It's not just about the fact that you're losing weight. It's actually because you become more productive. And for people to start really understanding. So for those of you listening, that you can and absolutely are capable of regulating your own central nervous system, beginning to regulate. And this is why it's so important. When you exercise, you regulate your central nervous system. You start bringing yourself from a state of fight and flight into rest and digest, and a bit of both. And that's that sweet spot in the middle where Stephen Kotler talks about flow, where you can start becoming more productive. And then exercise is not just about, it actually influences. I mean, it's like so obvious to talk about it but people don't get that exercise is the foundation of every aspect. Your best relationships are yet to come because of the quality of your exercise. Your best expression of work, your best expression of your spirituality, and all of these things. So it's not exercise allow us to have a heightened awareness, a better expression and awareness of all the things that make us up. Because it's not just training. We're not just a bag of flesh and bones. You know, we're actually spiritual, relational, social, economic, all of these things together.
Well, I mean, that's the question that I always love that you ask. I love the question you ask of patients, on our program. You ask them a question about what is their life going to look like? Like, how are they going to feel, right, when those symptoms or whatever are gone? And the vast majority of them have no idea what you're talking about. But what it does do, it fundamentally changes the way people view lifestyle management. Because it stops being about trying to get pain away, and it starts to become about, hey, what's my life? How cool is my life?
So I mean, just to really emphasize, it's the tablet. You're taking the tablet, but not so to complete. you're still taking the tablet because that's what you've been prescribed, but then you're not taking the tablet to get away from disease. You're taking the tablet because you're moving towards a better expression of your life.
Yep.
And that's a completely different focus for people to actually sort. And that's the same with the exercise. The reason why, when we least feel like it, that we go get on that. And I got to say to you, people, sometimes when you're working out, it's thankless. No, there's going to be no fans and cherubs and people clapping you on. There's going to be diddly. There's going to be days where you just don't feel like it. And those are the days that are going to count the most, because it's those days, the thankless days where nobody seems to care, where you don't even seem to care, that actually is going to make a difference, because day in, day out, you're the one. And what that means, self-efficacy, self-worth, self-responsibility, all these things then become self-initiated, self-actualized, and self-maintained, all by yourself. And that level of responsibility is huge, Steve. I get like
I get that. And here's a number, because I like the numbers.
It's really important.
I agree with you. And you know what the number is where we start to get benefit from exercise? 3 minutes. How's that?
Yeah,
so,
just going to get that 3 minutes.
I don't feel like getting out of bed today. I'm really in a bad place. I'm depressed. Have you got 3 minutes?
Yeah.
You've got 3 minutes. If you've got 3 minutes, I remember I used to say that to my clients as a personal trainer 30 years ago. I had a 20-minute rule, So if you don't feel like coming to your session, which is an hour, come to 20 minutes. If you still don't feel like it at the end of that, go home. I'll charge you 1/3 of the session fee.
Yeah.
If you're a trainer, once you're there and you've been there for 20 minutes, you're not going home. But the researchers now, people like Prof. Georgie Torres and these people that are the real saviors of kind of humanity right now, who are doing this work, this amazing work. We know that the benefit starts from 3 minutes. So how's that for a challenge? If you don't have 3 minutes to move, I'm not sure that you're asking yourself the right question.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's really that, because people are stuck in what's the point? Really, who cares?
Yeah.
The thing is that we need to get ourselves to a point where we care enough just to get through that first 3 minutes. And 3 minutes a day it's 15 minutes a week. It's an hour. It's an hour a month. It's that hour a month over a decade. Well, I mean, that's the difference between whether a person, sort of passes from some kind of like disease-related inflammatory response, or that she can live for an extra decade. Literally,
we call that morbidity. We call that the morbidity curve.
That's literally what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And who's to say? I mean, you know what? I mean, I could train like because so and so trained like a demon and then he dropped dead at 50. I don't care, my friend. This is your life. This is my life. And the thing is, I'd rather have quality until I happen to drop dead sometime, somewhere. I'd rather be out there running and enjoying nature and doing what I got to do and have a physical, robust experience of my life. Then, and this is not a judgment. Each to their own. If somebody chooses, but really consciously chooses to not exercise, man, I respect it 100%.
Gotcha.
This is for the people that are actually somewhere you've got a sense that there must be more to life.
Yeah, and it's not that difficult.
Yeah,
and I think the takeaways tonight have got to be to say, you know what, don't overcomplicate things. Yeah. Eat real food. If your food can go bad, it's good for you. If your food can't go bad, it's not good for you. If it comes in a bottle or in a can, don't eat it. So here's the food stuff. On the exercise side, you know what? Move. Do something that you like to do. You start at 3 minutes, you'll get benefit. You need to try and get up to 150 minutes. If you're doing more than 350 minutes, you've got to start watching out, because you don't necessarily get the same benefits from the other side of 350. So between 150 and 350 is kind of where you need to be. And then from a how hard perspective, you should be able to talk. You should be able to go from A to E in the alphabet, okay, without taking a breath. But you shouldn't be able to sing the Beyonce song that you're listening to in the headphones.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway for me.
Okay, well, I mean, likewise, and the thing is, I think it's about consistency. It's about, not trying to overdo it in the beginning. It's about the longevity of the thing, because most people, what people are doing now in their 30s and 40s is setting them up for their 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah.
But people haven't even thought about what they're doing next week, let alone their quality of physical response in their 70s and 80s.
No, 100%.
But people, that is so important. And
what will your life look like when you've got where you want to go? Because I'm finding that now. I find that I'm implementing that in my own day. I'm kind of asking a Warren question, of myself to say, what am I going to feel like when I get up and I go and train today? So I'm not worried about, hey, my hamstrings feeling not great and my back's a little bit sore. I'm actually going, hey, you know what? How am I going to feel at the end of the session? And I actually did that today. And sitting with Dr. Stark today in the lunchroom, having that discussion, saying, so, Doc, we're doing this the wrong way around. And she's sitting there saying, you're absolutely right. That was so cool for me. Because she's a primary care physician who really cares about her patients. But she's frustrated because she's an athlete as well. And she hasn't connected those two together yet, And I think that's what people like you and me are doing right now, filling that gap.
I think it's so important. I think it's a mind-body thing as well. Just to end off, Steve, because I know we're just about out of time. I think Stephen Kotler paraphrases an African-American rhythm and blues singer, and he was saying is that what science is thinking is free your mind and your body will follow. And what this chap actually says in one of his songs is literally like free your ass and your mind will follow.
Yeah.
So, and there's two ways to it. So you can either sit and meditate yourself into well-being, but I'd rather meditate and move, and it's a double whammy. And my meditations are better for me moving, and my moving is better for my meditation.
100%.
So I'm a physical, spiritual, mind, body being, and we got to exercise both. And that's where I think we're going with these conversations. And the more we talk, the more I realize there's so much to say. And if you're listening to this and you have questions, fire away. Because then what's so cool about that is that we're actually not talking at you. We're beginning to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, please do that. Put in the comments. What do you want to hear us talk about?
We understand what your challenge. We can begin to understand what your challenges are, and then slowly but surely we can, we start turning the wheel. And it's a community thing. It's a group effort. It really is. And support. It's about being nurtured. It's about being acknowledged. It's about support, and we leave no man behind.
Leave no one behind.
Yeah, we leave no one behind.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. Always good, man. You take good care.
Take care.
Bye.